For what purpose does the gentleman from Nebraska rise?
Mr. Chairman, I have an amendment at the desk, amendment number 483.
The clerk will designate the amendment.
Amendment number 483, printed in the congressional record, offered by Mr. Fortenberry of Nebraska.
Mr. Chairman.
For what purpose does the gentleman from Texas rise?
Mr. Chairman, I reserve a point of order on the gentleman's amendment.
Point of order is reserved. Pursuant to the order of the House of today, the gentleman from Nebraska, Mr. Fortenberry, and a member opposed, each will control 5 minutes. The gentleman from Nebraska is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, recently a woman came to my children's school to talk about the healing power of forgiveness. She was a survivor of the 1994 Rwandan genocide, when nearly 1 million people were mercilessly hunted, hacked, and killed. Now let's fast forward to the year 2007. In an ironic twist, Rwanda's President Kagame expressed his interest in reducing the number of births of children in that country by 50%. In recent weeks, confusing reports have surfaced as to whether the Rwandan government had launched a campaign setting a target for hundreds of thousands of male sterilizations. While the report, which implied possible complicity of U.S.-funded organizations, were subsequently dismissed, the concerns they raised are very real. Let's note China's one-child policy, or Fujimori's Peru. Mr. Chairman, the United States should be a champion for human dignity, and yet, sadly, we have our own sordid past with sterilization campaigns. In 1924, the state of Virginia passed what was called the Racial Integrity Act, which remained intact well into my own lifetime until it was overturned by the Supreme Court. I think the title, the Racial Integrity Act, speaks for itself. Legislation so outrageous that Governor Warner, now Senator Warner, issued a statement of apology in 2002 saying, "We must remember the Commonwealth's past mistakes in order to prevent them from reoccurring," he said. Mr. Chairman, this is a proscriptive amendment, which I believe is consistent with current law, that seeks to prevent human rights abuse, that just says no. We will not return to this shameful past, nor will we impose it upon other people in other places with America's tax dollars. This amendment, I believe, is a reasonable application and extension of the current law. It is important because sterilization campaigns involving a subtle element of real or perceived moral suasion directed at vulnerable individuals can easily blur the distinction between what is voluntary and involuntary. The question here is whether to take hard-earned taxpayer dollars and apply them in these campaigns, aggressive outreach to sterilize persons. Now, Mr. Chairman, while I recognize that this amendment has been ruled out of order, I do believe it is a reasonable application and extension of current law. However, I will accept the judgment of the chair and withdraw this amendment now that I've said my piece. And I yield back the balance of my time.
Without objection, the gentleman's amendment is withdrawn.